makes your eyeballs shake.
Right, exactly.
What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into CHGO Bulls Pregame. Coming to you live from our studios here in the West Loop, downtown Chicago. Bulls After Dark. I'm Pat. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Pack. Join me, my guys. Big Dave, Bow, BAWL Sports. Will the Go Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb, our pound producer on the controls, Mr. Joseph Spathis. He is at Joey Spathis. Bulls out in L.A. to play the Lakers tonight. Yeah. Thanks, everybody who was staying up. Shout out to Jeff, Jonathan, Joseph, Don, Toot, everybody hanging out in the comments. Who's ready for some late night basketball?
I am.
Yeah?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've had a C4. I'm ready to go.
Brought Will an energy drink?
Yeah.
Are your eyes trembling in their sockets?
No. I don't drink the Joey kind that they drink, man. So I drink the regular, just, get me right and make sure I don't fall asleep. And I will be focused on basketball and enjoying it with the fellas.
With the fellas.
Yes.
How you doing, Will? You ready for this late night basketball?
I need to go chug that Celsius, and then I'll be ready.
You know when to do it.
I got to do it right as tip is happening.
Okay.
So it lasts the full 2 hours.
Okay. All right.
This team is just going Hollywood as hell tonight, and yeah, we're going to deal with it.
Hollywood as hell.
Shout out Joaquin.
Yes.
Shout out also Anthony, who's at late-ass night on the East Coast, still rocking Bulls and some beer, C-Red. Jelly and Matty Legend also hanging out in the comments. Yeah, people are up. I mean, if it were, Bulls have plenty of West Coast games left on their schedule this season, but I feel like Bulls-Lakers is just never one you can decide, you know what, I'm going to go to bed instead. It's Bulls-Lakers.
Yeah, man.
You only get 2 of these a year.
It's true. So you got to make the sacrifice.
Have to.
And sit up and watch it. And I'm willing to do that. And I'm glad you all are too. So thanks for being here.
Shout out to Jelly and his wife, who said my wife on her birthday decided to turn CHGO pregame on.
Hey,
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
To your better half.
Happy birthday.
Speaking of better halves, shout out to our guy Salim.
Shout out to our friend Salim from Bulls
on his
Gold,
engagement,
who posted on social that he, on his vacation with his better half, got engaged today.
Congratulations,
so happy
sir.
for you, Salim.
We're going to get Salim in studio to rock a pre- and post-game with us sometime very soon.
I saw that coming a mile away.
I mean, I was talking to him at Melissa and Ramina's thing a couple weeks ago about how they were getting ready to go on a vacay, and I was like, oh, okay. Enjoy the warm weather and taking care of business, too.
Moves will be made. You knew it was going to happen, man. But he's been very happy, man. Wonderful girl. I'm really happy for him, bro. I really am.
Indeed. Good, happy news for good people.
Yes.
Always put you in a good spot.
Happy news for good people. Yes.
We will get to tonight's Bulls-Lakers action on the back end of pregame, but we wanted to start with some interesting reports we got earlier today that came from The Athletic's James Edwards, who covered the Pistons for that outlet, with some more details about a potential LaVine trade with the Pistons that the Bulls and Pistons have been at least discussing. He made note that it's not necessarily that those talks have gotten very far, but that the talks have happened. And, interesting points that Bulls fans would care about, obviously, is what the Pistons might be offering up in said return. We talked not that long ago about maybe, I think it was one of your proposed trades in that column you wrote, Will. Can the Bulls find some way to get Jaden Ivey here from Detroit in a Zach LaVine trade? And what James Edwards had to say, if you have that excerpt from his column, Joe, is that Chicago appears to be locked in on a package involving Bojan Bogdanovic and one of Detroit's blue chippers for LaVine. The Pistons have shown no interest in parting with any of Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, or Asar Thompson. Is it possible for Detroit consider asking LaVine if the Bulls' asking price goes down?
It ain't.
So I think most Bulls fans that I saw on Twitter reacting to this update today said, well, if we can't get any of those quote-unquote blue chip pieces, whether it's, Jaden Ivey or one of the other, I never thought that Cade Cunningham would be even remotely on the table.
Correct.
Or Asar or Duren.
Correct.
Their newest blue chip, Asar Thompson, maybe Ivey, if they thought he doesn't fit into our plans and our season's heading down the toilet anyway, maybe let's try and pivot.
Oh, it's in the toilet.
But it sounded from this report from Edwards that basically the offer could be Bojan, maybe another expiring, and maybe some draft capital. But that gets sticky because they already have an outgoing pick that is protected, right, Will?
They do.
You can't really know what or when that draft capital would look like if the Bulls were to make some kind of deal involving draft picks with Detroit.
Right. And so basically with the Stepien rule, you're not allowed to trade picks in multiple years. And since they have already traded a first round pick to the Knicks, which is top 18 protected this year, that's not going to convey. So it'll get pushed over to next year where it's top 13 protected. Who knows if that will convey top 11 the following year and top 9 in 2027. So if the Pistons were to put a pick into that trade, the language would be like starting 2 years after the pick to the Knicks conveys. So at the very latest, it would be 2029. Could it be earlier than that? Maybe. But it does mean that they're not able to send out more than one future first-round pick, which obviously I think that's the reality that I think we're going to have to come to here with as far as like what Zach is going to be able to fetch for the Bulls. But, yeah, I mean, I also just don't really think that more than that is ever really going to be on the table. So they do have a second-round pick this year that is via either Memphis or Washington, and both of those teams are going to be in the bottom 5. So that actually is like a pretty good second-round pick. That'll be a top 35 pick depending on where it comes from. So that could be something. And then really it's going to be like a salary relief kind of situation. I mean, Bojan Bogdanovic is a productive veteran. Maybe Alec Burks
he's got a
is in
team
there.
option on next season, right?
He is partial guarantee. So he's
Okay.
making $20 million this year, just under 20 next year, like 19.9 or something like that. But only $2 million is guaranteed. So if they wanted, they could wipe off, $18 million from their books. I would imagine that they would just retain him and try to either trade him or keep him and try to continue winning if that were the deal. But again, like the Pistons seem pretty content to keep Bojan. And I think in that article, they also mentioned that they'd potentially rather wait until the summer to deal him. So, I mean, look, everybody wants to keep their good stuff and get your good stuff for nothing. That's just kind of how these conversations go at this point. Eventually, like the asking price is going to come down and the offering price is going to go up and you're going to meet somewhere in the middle if something happens. But that's the reporting we've gotten so far.
Do you do this without Jaden Ivey?
So what?
That's my answer.
Can we clarify what this is? Because the trade that I propose, I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this. Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks, Killian Hayes, the 2024 second-round pick, which would be top 35, and a 2029 protected pick, let's say top 10 protected for LaVine and
2029. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, and I think that basically minus Killian Hayes is what James Edwards proposed in his latest for The Athletic today. No, I don't love that.
I don't either.
If you're giving it up, Zach, and you're not going to get a haul of first-round picks, which is what NBA fans saw happen for a couple of years, and is not going to happen anymore. And I guess it did just happen with Siakam and the Pacers, but everybody said, "Whoa, really?" And at no point did anybody feel like it was a given or even likely that the Bulls were going to get some giant sweepstakes of multiple first-round picks for Zach. But the hope, I think, always was from Bulls fans, if you can't get that, can you get one and then a good young player or two while you're also matching salary?
Yeah.
So that you're not – and I think the way that Casey Johnson phrased it in his update today when he was talking about what route the Bulls might go is as opposed to just trading Zach to dump his contract. Like getting basically nothing in return other than getting off his contract. I think Casey phrased it as like making a trade because less is more.
Right, correct.
And that, I think, is what would really just dishearten and frustrate Bulls fans if that is all they end up getting, which is why I also lean towards the most likely outcome now, especially if the other teams that they're trying to make deals with are saying, you know what, let's wait till this summer and then talk again, is that Zach's going to be here on February 9th.
Yeah.
Because this Bulls front office has shown that they're stingy when it comes to what they value within their system and what they're willing to give up, other than that first Vooch trade where they were like, yeah, here, have 2 firsts and Wendell. And all, but, like, I just don't see them trading Zach just to dump him. Unless the vibes have gotten so bad, like James Harden style, that they feel like they have to. But I feel like they would put their foot down before giving in to that just because Zach is cranky.
Honestly, I don't even find this stingy. I just find this, I'm not just giving him away. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. One, I'm not doing this with Detroit. I would think about it for another team, but I'm not thinking about it for a team that's in my division and a team that's the Detroit Pistons, because screw the Pistons. All right? I'm not giving Detroit shit. I'm not doing it. No, you're going to have to give me something.
Because you don't want to help them?
Yes, because I don't want to help them.
And you still feel like giving Zach LaVine to them in a trade helps them.
No, I want fairness.
Right,
That's what
okay.
I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna. It's clearly you win the trade.
Right,
If
okay.
I give you that,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that with Detroit. Absolutely not. Not giving me Jaden Ivey is ridiculous. That's a no-go. We're not having this conversation.
Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks, and then like maybe
And
a
some rolls
draft
of
pick
tape.
in 5 years.
and some gum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a shoelace. Like, I'm not doing that shit, man. Absolutely not.
So I actually think it's a pretty good deal, and I think it might be one of the better options available. I understand it's not sexy, and there's
Not to Detroit.
and there's not, definitely like a win for Detroit. But like, here's the situation right now: is that nobody seems to want Zach, and I think there's a disconnect between how we think of him and value him, and how the rest of the league values him. Obviously, but there's also a difference, I think, in how the Bulls can handle that amount of money versus other teams taking in that amount of money. Because I don't think that, like, number one, all max contracts are not created equal. Zach is making a max, he's not making a super max, and his contract continues to scale up as other players are going to scale up. But, you know, if you're a team and you think Zach is your third option, like, you're probably just not going to go trade a bunch of stuff for him. So you're looking at teams that don't have anybody on the books or that have a bunch of good young players that are making rookie scale contracts. Those are going to be the teams that are interested. And, you know, there just aren't a lot available. So you get production now. Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks, both really good players. They can help you. You get a good second-round pick, which I think counts for something. And you get a future protected first, which is probably more than you get for
Not in
anything
my
else.
division.
So
Will, do you like this jersey?
not as much as ownership probably does. My point is that, like, you get a ton of cap space, you get a couple of decent draft picks, and you get resolution. You get to move on with this situation, because I think at a certain point they are going to have to make a Zach move.
Yeah.
You can't just say, like, okay, well, let's just keep him if we can't find what we want, because this summer that's going to cost you bringing back DeMar and Patrick. And whether we agree or disagree with that direction, like, that's the direction that they've picked. And so I think this kind of makes sense. You get ahead of it so that you don't end up having to attach a pick down the road to trade him. I'm not saying it's a great trade or a huge win, because obviously it's not. But getting win-now talent, that is what the Bulls are trying to do.
You do feel
getting
like,
cap relief is what the Bulls are trying to do, and getting a couple of picks is more than they could potentially get from anywhere else.
but you do feel like there'll be more teams wanting to trade for Zach LaVine in the offseason, correct?
That's
I
what
don't
I
know.
was going to ask. Because
I don't know.
Rob Q. Elder says, AK doing nothing before the deadline and waiting for the offseason is very on brand and insane. That's what I'm not sure about. Like, if there's a better market in the offseason, why? Like,
Why would there be?
I don't know why there would be necessarily, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, Zach, if you're talking about Zach and comparing him and DeMar and even Vooch last season, that's now a moot point. Like, you have time with Zach. You don't need to make the trade now at the deadline necessarily. And
But I
I
think
understand
that
the
assumes-
addition by subtraction. That's a fair point, but that's where I was going to go too. And so I was partially asking, you don't think there's any...
I just don't know, because if you think about the way that the new CBA is coming in and affecting teams, like, a lot of teams, if they're past the aprons, aren't going to be able to aggregate salaries next year.
True.
Meaning, I can't put together the Pistons are maybe not the best example because they won't be over the apron.
Yes.
That too. But if they were over the apron, they couldn't package Bogdanovic and Burks together to trade for Zach, because that is not allowed in the new CBA if you're above the apron.
Bobby Marks used the Lakers as the example team in his trade deadline preview that we were discussing the other
you
day.
wouldn't be able to consolidate D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura to go get Zach. So now the Lakers are off the table as a trade partner. The amount of the pool of potential teams shrinks up.
Well,
but it's already shrunk, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And so why not
So
bite
it's already,
when there is
for me, it's
something
already
available?
like a zero now. You know what I mean? At least that's what's being conveyed, being put out there and being told.
I think
that does make a lot of sense, and I'm glad you could clear that up, because I'm sure that there was other people that...
Yeah. And I think that where I was going with this is that, yes, there feels like there's nothing now. And so if they do something, it's going to be the best thing that was available. I think we can all agree that if the Bulls trade Zach, it will be for the best offer that was on the table for them. Because if you wait until this summer and you're hell-bent on keeping Patrick and DeMar, and the only way to do that is to clear out space,
Yeah.
like, you are now not just, like, you know, it's not a situation where you can wait for the remainder of Zach's contract, because you got to get rid of him now so that you can bring back those guys. And so if you're that desperate and teams can't consolidate contracts and there's fewer interested teams in general, now you maybe have to attach a first-round draft pick to get off of him. And that is a scary reality that I think the Bulls potentially are facing. Again, I'm not saying that this is like a victory in terms of like draft capital and young players. It's not that. But it does accomplish a lot of the things that the Bulls seem to want to accomplish. Now, we can agree or disagree with the front office as far as what direction they want to go. Do we think it's better for them to go the DeMar and Patrick route? Or do we think it's better for them to wait and maybe let DeMar expire? We can debate that. But given that that's the direction they seem to want to go, you kind of are pressured to get off of Zach now. And if you're pressured to get off of Zach now, then you got to take the best thing available.
I'm just not doing it within the division. That's my only issue with it.
Why does the division bother you?
Because I'm not doing it with the team that is going to be in the division competing with you. Like, I'm just don't see the point of that.
I just don't really feel like divisions matter that much anymore.
Well, it matters if you're playing them 4 times a year. Like, it's going to matter.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to I'm not doing that.
I just think
I'm not one-upping you and helping you, you know what I'm saying, with this kind of player and this kind of talent and then giving me your trash back. Even though it's stuff, the relief and all that. And I get all that. But it's not something I'm going to ever look at for a team that is going to be something we're going to be competing against.
Yeah.
It's why Toronto and the Knicks can make that trade, because they're not within that division with each other. It's why Charlotte and Miami can make that trade, because they're not competing against each other like that. But the Bulls in Detroit, or the Bulls and the Bucks, or the Bulls, like, that's direct competition, and it has to be fair. Like, if it's fair, okay, that trade can be made. I'm not mad at that. I'm okay with that. But if it's clearly something that's one-sided, as far as the play, if it's clearly one-sided on that, it's not something I'm looking at within my division.
Yeah, I'm not bothered by the division thing as much. I know you play your division teams 4 times a year compared to 3 for other Eastern opponents and 2 for Western Conference opponents. I'm not as bothered by that, because at the end of the day, I think you need to do what's best for your team. I think that's what's gotten them in bad positions in the past, is that they haven't been willing to do what's best for themselves because of optics or because of maybe it helps somebody else. So again, I think if they're going to make a trade, whatever it is going to be the best thing that was available to them. And yeah, I just think this is a good value deal considering how everybody else, because again, there's a difference between how we feel about Zach and how everybody else feels about Zach.
Yeah.
And so you have to accept the fact, if you're trying to put him on another team, which they're trying to do, you have to accept the fact that other teams don't value him as much as you do.
See, but I think we all see him the same, though. Like, I don't think we think that he's here. I think
you and
like that. No. I'm telling you, I'm okay with this trade if it's somewhere else. Like, I'm not saying, don't do this. I said it's okay if it's with somewhere else. So I think we all agree where he is.
Else?
No, give me another team. Just not the team that was going to be directly.
You don't want him traded in the division.
Correct.
I get it. Jesus.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you, Matt?
Yes,
do
I
you
do.
get it?
And I'm with Will. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he don't
find
care.
the best trade available. Trade on the Pistons, cool. I mean, there's a decent chance he's not even there to finish out that contract that he's on now, because he'll be like, oh, Detroit, not better than Chicago, send me somewhere else. He's a clutch client. Where I'm finding a little bit of optimism on, okay, if you don't want to trade him before the deadline because you got no good offers, you want to hold him through this season and then revisit the market this summer, and what Joey was saying about maybe there are some more suitors. The thing that's frustrating most to me is that this multifaceted narrative of who Zach LaVine, NBA player, is right now is the shittiest version that has existed. I think
100%.
basically since his career began, it's
that.
the shittiest version. Last season, he played like an all-star for 2/3 of the season after his slow start coming off off-season surgery. The 2 seasons prior to that, he was an NBA all-star. Basically spanning those 3 seasons minus a slow start last season, he was a 25-5-5 player on efficient shooting and difficult shot making. He's also on a contract that, yes, is big, but Will talking about the new CBA rules and not being able to aggregate salaries if you're a team above the apron and all that stuff. The other part of CBA that is going to be on the minds of NBA executives this summer is, that cap's going up though. And I got to sign this player to this contract, and I got to sign this player to that contract. And suddenly players who signed their maxes when Zach signed his and the remaining years on that won't look as bad by comparison. If Zach can come back at some point after assuming he doesn't get traded at the trade deadline, and play more like the version of Zach we saw for the better part of the last 3 years than the version of Zach we saw for a month and a half, who looked disengaged, who looked pouty, and who got off to a rough shooting start, then maybe that trade value goes up back to a respectable place where Bulls fans want it to be. If they sell now, they're selling at the bottom, the absolute bottom of his trade value. That's the part that is concerning and frustrating and makes it like at least a little bit okay. I can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel if he's still here after the deadline, even though I think the best course of action still is to change directions between now and February 8th.
The pushback that I would have on that is you're saying that it would be the absolute, lowest possible value. I just don't know if that's true. What happens if next year you have to attach a pick to get off of him?
I suppose that possible reality exists. The other part that you might be able to make up for if he does play is that now, because of the last 2 months, he has the injury-prone label again as a player, which I thought for the last 3 years he did a lot of solid work to move past. Mm-hmm. Like he played Bulls' career high number of games last season after he missed a few out of the gate.
He did.
And he's played a lot of games over the last 3 years. The injury-prone thing has always been wrong on the national NBA media scale.
But it's wrong until it's not. And I think right now it's not. Like, I disagree with that, but it's like it's manifested. That's the reality that we're living in. And let's say he's kind of playing like this for the rest of the year.
How do you get
another ankle
to a point where his trade value is lower than the most trusted national NBA reporter calling his trade market barren? How do you go beneath that?
Because you might have to attach pick, because now he's another year removed from being an all-star. He's another year removed from being a fully healthy player. Like, I do think that this can get worse. I used, like, yesterday, if you would have asked me that, I would have said, there's no way this could possibly get worse. Mm-hmm. But, like, the reality that I think it's possible they might have to attach a pick. Crazy as it sounds, I'm, like, kind of laughing at it because it's so ridiculous. But, like, that could happen, where now you're so desperate that you have to attach a first-round pick to get rid of Zach LaVine. Mm. And, like, that is a much worse outcome. And, again, I'm sure I haven't, like, read these comments yet. I'm sure people are going to be talking about how much I am trashing Zach and don't respect him and all that stuff. Could not be further from the truth.
I don't think I saw any of that, bro.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like, it wasn't none of that in there. But I will say this, though. I will say, like, I just wouldn't do it within the division, man.
Okay. Oh, my God.
Tensions are running high on the pod. Late night start.
Like, you can go show me that it bothers him? Oh, yes. Oh, guess what? Let me get a T-shirt made of that shit.
Oh, missing the forest for the trees. Okay, we've got to shout out a couple of things. We're almost to 9:30, but I mean, again, Zach LaVine is the talking point for Bulls fans right now, and the Lakers, like, screw the Lakers. Real quick, we do have some announcements. First and foremost, we just dropped a fresh shirt for y'all earlier today. It is up in the CHGO merch locker right now. Sub-Zero, the shining single beacon of hope and light for Bulls fans this season. Y'all call him starting point guard Kobe White.
Not Julian Phillips?
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind.
You gotta get Kobe one of these shirts. How can we make that happen?
An awesome design.
You go to practice.
Yeah, right. I feel like
somebody get me a shirt and I will give it to him.
The current version, stylistically, of Kobe can be immortalized forever with these shirts.
Correct.
I like the full bushy beard and the hair, the way he's styling it right now. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yes. I
love this shirt. Plus, you got his jersey number in there.
Yes.
I love this shirt. It is available on the CHGO merch locker right now. Our guy Joey just put the link in the YouTube comments. Go get yourself one. Also, if you've been on the fence, maybe I should become a CHGO diehard. I don't know. Pull the trigger now, because guess what? When you sign up to be a diehard, you get a free shirt. Mm-hmm. Pick this one. There you go.
And just to flex for a second, I helped design this shirt. Just
you did?
That out there.
Me too.
Shout out Joey.
Flex.
But I wouldn't do it within the division, though, Joe.
I wouldn't wear the shirt within the division.
I wouldn't wear it in Detroit, Joe.
If I were to go to Detroit,
I'm not. You go to Detroit.
I would not wear this shirt.
You're not wearing that. I'm not giving anybody who lives in Detroit this shirt.
No, if I go to Detroit, I'm going to wear my straight up bitches shirt. Obviously.
Obviously, yes.
Okay, so there's that. Grab yourself a new Sub-Zero shirt from the merch locker. Also, get yourself a ticket to the CHGO Bulls Takeover that's coming up February 6th. Bulls, T-Wolves. 5:30 pregame meetup. Let's have some drinks, maybe a snack at the bar. Then we're going to head to the Madhouse, watch the game together. We got tickets in section 105. Great seats. Come hang out there with us. Enjoy the vibes of your fellow Bulls fans. Tickets there available under the events section of our website, allchgo.com.
Because I got family there, Andrew. That's why. That's why you go to Detroit.
I guess.
Because you're
Detroit's a
under
wonderful
contract, and
place.
if you get traded somewhere under contract, you got to show up.
Man, that's true.
Unless it's in the division, though.
Yeah. If it's in the division, I don't know, guys.
Pregame brought to you by Circus Sportsbook, who offer the tight money line splits and use that low hold model. They always strive to have the starting out odds at game spreads, at point total over-unders at -110, not 115 or 120, which a lot of those other sports bettors do for no good reason. Just greed. Selfishness. Circa also keeps as little money as possible on those large market bets, say NBA futures. If you have a good idea for who's winning the MVP, is it going to be Embiid again? Is it going to be Joker? Is it going to be friggin' Tyrese Halliburton? I don't know.
What?
If you know, the best place with the best values to make those NBA futures bets is Circa. They also have the best, unquestionably the best customer service across all sports
Not
bettors
the
these
best.
days. No. Real people behind that Circus Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, and they're people, not robots. That's what you need when it comes to customer service. Download the Circus Sports Illinois app at circusports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Be on the lookout for their events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB to 833-234. Visit areyoureallywinning.com.
Actually, Alex, a lot of my family is from Cleveland. So, yeah, Cleveland and Detroit. I got to go to both, baby. Where to go, Golly? What time is it?
It's in the division,
Division
game
time?
time.
Yes. Thank
Hoot.
you. Way to be in my brain.
I had to get there for a second, but I got there.
I was like, please say it. Thank you very much. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying those tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events nearest you with killer last-minute deals. All-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying those tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It is not the place. No. It is the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, hockey, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and much, much more. And with the zone deals, you pick the section, and Game Time does the selecting with an average savings of, drumroll man, Pat,
Not in the division.
18%. Even if you're in the division, 18%. And Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price available. So take the guesswork out of buying those tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO. Get your wonderful self $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code CHGO, and get yourself $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, because they're always fast. What's everything?
You know. Jelly in the comments asked Matt.
Hey, Julia.
Detroit or Florida? That's a tough one, but I'm gonna lean Detroit. Because Florida saw that off, sent it into the Atlantic.
No, my sister's there. I can't say that.
And at least Detroit is closer to the part of Michigan that I actually enjoy.
You know what I mean? No, family's there. Sorry.
Okay, so quickly and briefly shifting to tonight's actual game. Good news, Bulls basically clean injury report other than Zach LaVine and Torrey Craig, who I did see, shout out to Julia Poe at the Trib, put out a tweet, a video of Torrey Craig getting some shots up out in L.A. today.
He was.
Hopefully that means he's making his way towards a return. But so other than that clean injury report, Bulls starting five is the same as it's been for a few days now since Zach re-exited. You got Kobe, Caruso, DeMar, Pat, and Vooch. Lakers, AD and LeBron, both questionable coming into today. I know that they had both missed a game or two recently, or for sure LeBron did. But they have both been given the green light and are in the Lakers starting lineup. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, and Taurean Prince. Gentlemen, Bulls got a win over these Lakers back in December. Can they do it again?
Sure. They can do it again. It's going to be tough, obviously. Playing in L.A., going against that, having those guys active now. And I'm sure anytime they play each other, it feels like they get up for that, especially guys like LeBron and AD, obviously, being from the city and things like that. But, yeah, man, and they're outside of each other's division in different conferences, so it can work that way. But, yeah, I think it'll be good. It's always a good matchup, though, when they play. It really is. It's very few blowouts. There are some that happen, but it's very few, and they usually play each other kind of tight.
And speaking of in the division, Anthony Davis is a Packer fan, apparently. So that's obviously in the Bears division.
It's true. It's
something
true.
that
The
Bulls, so you see, they don't make trades with each other like that.
And he must have been so upset when they lost to the Niners in the playoffs again.
He was there, too. Anthony Davis was at the game in a Jones jersey.
That's so weird, man.
Weird
Fucking Packers!
Why would he be a Packer fan? I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Because he's brain dead. Poor bastard. Speaking of that poor brain dead bastard, quick look at what AD and Bron, the two leaders of this Lakers team, have been doing this season. They're having a pretty decent year statistically. LeBron is averaging the fewest points per game since his rookie year.
That's still crazy.
Not by a lot.
Right.
So, there were a couple, I think it was year 2 and 3 in LA, he was averaging around or just over 25 a game. So this is close to that. But then last season, the season prior, he was at 28 and 31 points per game. Yeah. So a big dip from his last couple seasons in LA. The shooting splits, though, respectable, other than, of course, the hilarious free throw percentage. Lowest points per game since his rookie year. However, that 39% from 3 is his highest since the 2012-13 season.
Yeah.
On a 5.5 attempts per game, I believe.
Yeah.
He's brought him back down. He was chucking like 7 or 8 for a couple of years there. And it was I'm chucking 7 or 8 and hitting 33%. I should stop. AD, meanwhile, okay, he's doing his thing, 25 points, 12 boards, 2.5 blocks a game. To me, the key is this. He has played in 43 of the Lakers' 45 games thus far this season. When you talk about a guy who always has a question mark when it comes to availability and injury prone, deservedly so more than Zach LaVine, AD has been a workhorse for the Lakers this year.
Yeah, it's true. And, obviously the numbers reflect that. And it's always been, like you said, the thing against him is his health. What I do like is I've seen him in these games actually come out limping but don't come out. He actually stays in and continues to play. Well, that has not been the case for him in the past. If anything twitched or felt off, he was sitting down and he wasn't going to play. So he's playing like there's a lot on the line for the team, and it kind of feels like that for them. Their record shows they haven't been great. But those two guys have to be great for that team to even have a chance to win.
That's the thing. They're putting up those stats, and the Lakers are, a game under 500.
Right, exactly. And it's strictly because of them. So they are carrying the load right here. So
carry the load.
Yeah, they're hoping that somebody else can come help. They thought Reeves would be more of that guy. He kind of has taken a step back. But I think it's just more so teams have him on the whiteboard now. And they are learning how to defend him and go against him a little bit better. But, yeah, they're being stars. These are stars. That's what stars do. But it's about everything else around them. That's not working, which has LeBron, kind of pissed off.
Yeah, it was an adjustment, I think, for the Lakers coming into the season. They kind of didn't really know what their lineup was going to be. They had Austin Reeves coming off the bench. They had D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench. And they had them both coming off the bench. It's just been a little bit of a struggle. They're 13th in defense on the year, 20th in offense. But over the last 2 weeks, it's flipped. They're 11th in offense and 21st in defense. And to me, it just speaks to the fact that they can really turn it on and play well on both sides when they're able to. It's just about, same for the Bulls, doing it consistently. So it just kind of depends on what night you're playing them, because you could get the Western Conference finalist team, Lakers, or you could get a team that's like below 500. That's true. We'll just have to see which one shows up for the Bulls.
They, they have these games where their role players show up and perform their role player roles beautifully, and then they have games where it's like, oh my gosh, this Lakers team is just desperate.
Yeah.
They did lose Gabe Vincent, who's out with surgery.
Yeah.
There was some speculation about that for like a week or so. He did ultimately get that surgery. Cam Reddish is also out, but I feel like that's like an upside for the Lakers because it's Cam Reddish. So yeah, we'll see if the Bulls can get another win against them. By the way, same scenario as their win against LA on December 20th. Zach was out during that stretch of games, hadn't come back yet. And AD and LeBron both played in that game. So basically a rematch with the same pieces. DeMar led the Bulls, I believe, with 27 in that one, also had 9 dimes. Let's see what the Bulls do against the Lakers this time.
What's up, Kobe?
It is 9:35 Central. That means finally time for tip-off. Enjoy the game. Come right back here. We will be here live, CHGO Sports YouTube channel for postgame following Bulls versus Lakers. Hit that thumb on your way out if you haven't done it yet. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon. For Joey, Willie Goat, Big Dave, Peck, Ball, Go, Late.
Gave that 4 words. We're out.